cane, potevi dire il cane,
Ah.
volevo dire.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Sahaj Times podcast. My name is Lele. I'm the host of this podcast, and with me, there is already laughing. I don't know why. There is the one and only Fabrizio. How are you, Fabrizio?
Very good. I love it. How you just switched. We were just chatting and
Yeah.
talking about naughty things. And then Lele's just like, all right, let's get official. Love it.
I have 10 minutes recorded of us talking about illegal things
Of censorship things.
that I will not put in the episode. So it's really cool. A new episode, an episode that we are going to record together because today is just us.
It's been a long
And
time, huh?
it's
I
been
think
a
last
long
time is like
time.
maybe five months ago. Last time we did this.
Yeah, also one on the most commented episode it was. We couldn't stop brag about this. It was the most commented episode, and it was just us talking about the negativity in Sahaj, no?
Negativity. Yeah, yeah. How to face negativity. Yeah. I didn't notice it was the most commented.
Oh yeah, you knew it. You knew it. You knew it.
All right.
We are like detached, but we are always looking at the statistics or analytics of every single episode
let's
secretly.
let's be serious now. All right. We had our fun. What are we gonna talk about today, Lily?
And today we can talk about how to face Sahaj programs
Very nice.
because there are of course up and downs in Sahaj programs. I would like to start saying that doing Sahaj programs is not a happy thing to do. I'm not happy doing Sahaj programs.
To start the episode on a good note.
Yes, it's not easy. It's not easy. It's
Yeah,
not
I
the most
agree.
it's not the most joyful thing you can do in Sahaj, of course, because you have responsibilities, and having responsibilities is not fun at all.
Mm.
Makes you grow, but it's not fun at all. And what is your experience with such programs actually?
Well, so I mean, I would agree with you in a way that depending on how you live it, sometimes it can be an extreme amazing blessing, and sometimes I feel, especially if the group is not working together, if something is not aligned, then it can become very heavy. But to me, it's interesting. This, I don't know if you ever thought about this. I lived in different collectives, or visited many other collectives, and I noticed this, which to me is quite crazy. So Shimaji told us that giving self-realization is one of, maybe, I don't know, the top, would say, 3 4 things to do right in life. Like you have to
Yeah.
meditate.
Top tier list.
Yeah, top 3 4. I don't know. Now, I don't know what the other three are, but we'd say giving self-realization as a yogi responsibility definitely comes in the top three, right? And potentially very joyful because you're sharing something that you love doing it, right? So till there, it's all logic. But what I found very interesting is that if you see many collective where the collective is split or they're a fight, the reason for it oftentimes is a difference in opinion on how to give self-realization or how to do program, and so on and so forth. Or many times there is other reasons, but then the difference in how we do programs makes the situation worse. And we kind of accept it, but actually, if you think it, it's completely illogical. The fact that we fight over one of the activities that should be the most pleasant ever in our entire being as yogis. I think Shimaji in my speeches says there is nothing more joyful and beautiful than lighting up another candle. So, and I understand how you feel, and but our experience should be complete continuous bliss. Why sometimes doesn't work? What's the issue? What are we facing as a collective? What do you think?
I think that there are two things that I don't understand on this topic. First of all, you mentioned many collectives, and I've only lived in one collective, which is the Italian one. So to me, it's always been the same since I was born, you know. But apparently, from what you're saying, in every single collective that you've been, you have seen this situation.
Well, no, not in every collective I've been, but in every collective where there is a split,
Mm. Okay. Okay.
So every collective where there is a problem, then there is some sort of groupism that is like, you do it like and usually the grouping is a bit more on the right and left side, right? So you have the people that are more like on the protocolish side, and then the
Mhm.
people that are more like, oh, it doesn't matter, just bring everybody to puja next week, and and then it divides up this way. Or there's some people that want to present Shimaji immediately, and then there's some people that want to kind of take their time and present Shimaji, like maybe after some times when the person establishes their vibrations. But this shouldn't really be a source of fighting among us. It's quite silly that it happens that way, right? So why do we fight over this? Back to you for the second point you wanted to make.
Another thing that I don't really understand is that we fight, and then our Sahaj program is not really successful.
Yeah,
But what is a successful Sahaj program? That is what I was wondering to myself yesterday when I left the program that I attended to. Because mainly at programs, you start with the first day where you, after a good marketing thing, where you put all your efforts into it, you see 50 people joining,
yeah, and you're
and you're
happy.
and you're really happy. But what happens on the second day? Those 50 people become 25. On the third day, those 25 people become, I don't know, let's say 10, 12, and hopefully it's gonna stay for 10, 12. And maybe on another day when it's like raining and stuff, people are like 3, 4, 5, and then you start asking yourself,
Yeah,
why am I doing this?
yeah,
Your motivation starts going lower, the seeker's motivation starts going lower, because they don't get Sajja Yoga as you got it,
yeah.
and it's really frustrating. And when there is frustration, I have frustration, you are frustrated, we're gonna argue about this.
The vibrations go down.
How
I
can you
agree.
how can you keep giving realizations now? Can you keep doing such programs? You're not at that level.
Yeah, if you're not in that state, I agree. I mean, I I would first. Is it too loud or this is okay?
This is
No, it's okay.
perfect.
At first, I would like to go a bit back on the tension on the fight, and there's something a yogi in America told me which I really liked. We discussed this quite a lot because also in the US at some point they were fighting between different style of giving self-realization, and I like to always take kind of the optimist view and try to see the beauty in the yogis. And I think if you look at this historically, forget just you and I and today, but look at the history of Sahaj. In the 80s, 90s, 2000, there's so many speeches of Shimaji in which he said, today is the day we enter Satya Yuga. Today, with this puja, something has been established. And inevitably, something must have been established at subtle level. But in our human, kind of more materialistic brain, we're like, okay, from today on, it's done. We don't need, like, it's everything is going to change, and maybe it's going to take 1,000 years, but we don't think in divine terms, we think in human terms. So I feel generally there is a in the heart of the yogis, they really want to give self-realization as much as possible. So it's something that it is extremely important to them, and not always we are as successful as we would like to be, regardless of the country. Maybe in India and Russia is easier, in Italy is a bit easier, in Switzerland a bit harder, but regardless of that, everyone just wishes they could do more, which is a nice thing because your heart is, you want to do something nice. But inevitably with that comes the attachment, comes the frustration. And I think that's where we start fighting. That's where we start being like, no, 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 my idea is better. We need to do this because if we don't do this, we don't reach the quota we want to have, right? And again, this all starts from a good point of wanting to fulfill the divine vision of Shimaraji. But we become so tense about it that all of a sudden it is something that the future of the world is at stake. So I am going to fight you over this because this is important, because we're saving the world. Paradoxically, if we didn't love Shimaji so much, if we weren't so passionate about it, we wouldn't having end up certain fights. So I like to look at this from a positive aspect, which is, look, the reason why sometimes we get heated up is because we really care about this. So let's focus on that. and we all want to go to the same place. Ultimately, we all want to reach what Shimaji wants. So I think as a collective, we need to work on that to keep the focus not on the results, not on our expectation, but okay, where is it that we want to go? Which is exactly what your second question, right? What is a successful program? What are we trying to achieve? And I think it's an important question to ask.
Yes, especially because in the situation that I am right now, I'm following two Sahaj programs. One is with a Milan collective, and I take part of the online part. So every Wednesday they do it in person at 6:30, and at 9 I do it online. And here sometimes I ask myself, why am I doing a Sahaj program for another collective? But this is another topic. So that program is for people to be established in Sahaj. That's how I see it. Because
Yeah,
there are like older people, people that are well established in Sahaja yoga. So I'm like, okay, that is to establish people. But in the meanwhile, the one that I'm doing in Rome with the Yuva Shakti is to establish Yuva Shaktis in the Sahaj program mindset. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like to practice. So the other day, like we were doing a Sahaj programs, the explanation was a little bit here and there, because it was a little bit improvised. But there were only 5 people, and it's really difficult to speak in public, and
yeah.
that is literally a workout, and the vibrations were really really cool,
The
and
heart was
the
there.
heart was there. And if you start putting yourself in the game, especially to show up in the program ready to talk about the divine with a pure heart, it's gonna eventually work because
I
everyone
agree.
got it. Everyone got the message.
I fully agree. I mean, sorry to jump in, but there's something connected to this, which is, and this actually, I've seen it again in every collective I've been in. I have participated in endless long hours meetings with yogis over a new program starting. If somebody comes up with a new idea and we're gonna do this differently, and we're gonna do this new, and sometimes like this is only done by Yuvas and it's special because we're young. Sometimes it was like this is only done by people that have been with Shimaraji. So it's like everything is always so special. But what I always felt is this, and I think statistically it works out. We really need to cover the bases before we do creative stuff. So it is something connected to what you said, which is the first step of a successful program is to show up. And it sounds stupid to say that. It sounds extremely stupid, but think about this. Uh, America actually for that was quite good. People were, but I was saying this when we were in New York. There is 300 of us. There was 300, 350 in the collective.
Hmm.
And only about 60, 70 people were going to programs weekly, which is already a higher percentage compared to other collectives. 70 out of 300 is pretty high. It's like almost 1% out of three. But I'm like, if everybody goes, the vibration just triple. That just like that, without doing marketing, without doing any fancy things. And then some people would say, well, but I don't feel comfortable speaking or this, and that is completely fine. To go to the program and set up the chairs before the meeting start, it's a
Mhm.
great help. Or to stay there if somebody has a question after, or to bring flowers, whatever your role is. Not everybody is actually also good at speaking, so that's fine. Not everybody has to have the same role. But if there is one seeker and enters a room where there's 20 yogis and they all are bringing good vibration and the room is already full just by the yogis, makes a huge difference.
Mhm.
So I think personally, I feel we spend a lot of times having big ideas and big meetings, but at the base, really, there is this thing of how committed are we genuinely in our heart. And that's not just the first 3 weeks when you do the program, it's the long run, right? And very last thing is that actually this something happened in Manhattan. We used to do the program with a group of yogis, very group of yogis, cool. Maybe I think 4 of them worked at the United Nations, and we were colleagues. So we'll just leave work and go to the program. And we saw something that at some point consistently the people were coming less, and we had, I don't know, 40, then 30, then 20, what you were describing. And I remember as if we yesterday, we left the program, and I was like, okay, guys, team meeting, like hug it up, group circle, I'm like,
Yeah.
guys, like it's not about marketing, it's about our vibrations. I'm like, we all skipping meetings, we all not coming. When we come, we arrive late or we leave early. Like we gotta fix ourselves. And I said, I swear, if we fix ourselves, if we commit genuinely from our heart, the seekers will respond. And then we all gave abandon. And then next week, everybody came on time, pumped up. Now, it could have been a coincidence, but like we had triple the amount of people the following week, and they stayed. And again, it's almost untangible and hard to explain. You can't really make but it happened. And I feel very often that happens, when the attention is there in the simple things.
Yes, 5 people from UN doing a program in Manhattan. That was the rich people program. Hands down, you can say it's not about our vibrations; it's about our
no,
bank
no,
account.
actually, doing programs in New York is quite amazing because you
Mm,
really get to see everything
everyone.
from the banker to the insane lunatic person, and the sweet student
What is your
to
worst experience? What is the worst person that you've seen at the program?
I have a very funny story. I don't know how if it's legal or
Let's hear.
advisable to share it, but I'll try. Then you tell me if it's good. So there was there was this Indian lady. So now the thing which I think is super important is that we used to have a lot of fun in New York at the program. Like I used to go looking forward to it. Like I had more fun at the Tuesday program than at the Saturday meditation. That's how fun it was. Not because the Saturday wasn't good, but because the Tuesday was awesome. We'll go to dinner after this and that. So it was a lot of fun, a lot of fun. And we were relaxed and but pushing at the same time. Anyway, there was this other guy, and I take advantage to say hi to him. His name is Shrikant from the US. Fun guy. And we used to do the program, sometimes me, sometimes him, and then comes this Indian lady, and she literally, I mean, she must have been a sweet person, but like her eyes were popping up, like she didn't even say
Yeah.
anything, just the eyes were coming out. She looked at you like this, like you could see she's very particular. She comes for 2 3 meetings, and she always asking kind of weird questions, and she always wants special attention. She always asks us to work on her. It's crazy, as I've said, this is my less father sounds like catching. Anyway, um, it was a bit like that. And so one day she comes to me after maybe 2 months that she's at the program, and she's like, she literally comes and she grabs my hands. She looks at me with these huge eyes, and she's like, "You have to clean my chakras." I'm not.
Jabba the Hutt.
Or Palpatine. I'm not exaggerating, but literally, she's like, "You have," with this big eyes. Now, any other yogi would have freaked out or get annoyed or immediately go foot. So
You
I
couldn't wait for anything else. I know you. You were
exactly,
op. You opt for this stuff.
exactly. So that happened. I was laughing inside, and I'm like, all right, how do we turn this into some playful, joyful occasion? So I was like, Auntie, this is very important to clean your chakras, and we need a lot of work on it. But I am not advanced enough to provide that service. Like I'm not good enough. I'm not skilled enough. But there is one yogi in this room. His name is Shrikant. he's, he's very good. He specializes in cleaning. So you should go to him next week and say that he really has to clean your chakras. All right, and that's it. She leaves. She comes the next week. Same thing. She goes to Shrikant, grabs him by the hand. You have to clean my chakras.
She was scripted.
He he looks at her. He thinks for a bit. Is like, no, auntie, I cannot do that. But there is another yogi in this room who can do it. And we didn't talk to each other about it. We didn't plan it. It's like there's only one other person. Fabrizio is your man. He can do it for you. And then she totally flipped on him because, like, he just told me you would do it. So Eventually, I ended up working on her, by the way, several times. And I mean, it cleared out. I mean, again, she was still a bit strange, but I feel also this is important, the playfulness, the joy when you like doing
Mm.
Sahaj things should not feel like a pain, like and that brotherhood, sisterhood, that the love among the yogis has to be felt because this is also what the seekers look at, right? I mean, seekers are like kids. It like kids, you can say to behave, but if you don't behave, they won't behave. And seeker are the same. You can stand up and say, "Here we're a family. It's all love," but if they don't see it, they won't
Well,
feel it.
well, the most of the people that join the program, probably they are looking for some. They are trying to fill a gap, to feel like something that they don't have in their life. Can be some family
Exactly.
issues, can be some depression things. Can they suffer of anger or stuff like that. So they show up in inside an environment that is like home for them. They should be
Yeah,
like home for them. But if we are like
exactly.
frustrated with each other, they see what they they see the problem that they have,
Exactly.
and this is not even cool for them. This is not cool for us, but it's intimidating for the seekers also.
Exactly. And actually this is something that I think I don't know how was your experience later, but for me this comes very natural. I think also because I think in my research for spirituality, I wasn't extremely subtle at the beginning at least. So what do I mean is this is I went to the programs. I felt a bit good during the meditation, but it's not like I had a particular problem for which I needed to meditate. I was a kid. I was like 17. So
Mm.
it's not like I was depressed or anything. Then I couldn't feel vibration clearly. So literally the only thing that kept me going was the heart, was the welcoming of the people. Now, not everybody's like that. There's people that really come somehow on the first day and they're like, I'm seeking God. There's a very unique, beautiful type of seekers. But
Mm.
I feel many seekers, their first layer of understanding of Sahaj is the love that you're pouring on them, which is critical. And that it doesn't mean you should stay there because eventually, you want them to evolve to seek God, and not you or family or the
Mhm.
social environment. But I think for many, the entry door is that welcoming them, that warmth that is brought to them.
Yes, many people might not join because they're looking for God, because many of them are also atheist people,
Mhm.
that they don't believe in God. So they're like, there must be something else out there. So the question now is, when is as a new seeker established enough to consider it no longer a person that you brought to Saja Yoga, but a yogi recognized in the collective?
Big
Because
question.
there is this feeling now. If I bring
I agree.
someone to Sahaj, I brought that person to Sahaj until there is that moment that you leave it, and
Yeah.
then the person is just a Sahaja yogi. To me, that moment happens when that person recognize Srimataji, but it takes so much time to do that. So I know that we have the rush to be like, you have to come to Capella, bro. It's
Yeah.
amazing. We're gonna spend the seminar for new people and stuff like that. And hopefully during that seminar, I think you hope that they understand, but it might not happen. And what's next? Like, what do you even do? I never been in that position
Yeah.
where I had to, like, I do programs, but I never been in that position where a person is like, yeah, I think this person is what I think she is,
Yeah.
and I'm like, yeah, cool, now you can come to Cabela and we're gonna have fun.
It's interesting what you say because I was thinking about it today, and I feel also doing program of Sahaj. Again, you do it with the open heart, but it's also such a workout of your ego. Absolutely workout of you, especially if you're good at doing programs, because it's so easy to leave the room and be like, I really did a good introduction today. And all the seekers tell you, I was amazing with and it's such a Maya because who are you? What are you doing? It's obviously not you, right? And today I was thinking about that. And if you see it, it's like almost the onions level, the peeling of the onions. There's so many layers to it. So, for example, And depending on how surrendered the group and you are, the program and the collective works or not. So there is, it starts with the within the group giving self-realization, right? I don't know, for example, the programs that you do now, but I've always done group programs with at least 4 5 other people. So we always had a group, and that's beautiful, but it's also a challenge because immediately starts with who speaks best, and this person does it like that, this person speaks too much, that person meditation is too long, and because everybody's different. So the first layer is, can you surrender and do it joyfully with people that don't do it like you? And not necessarily they're more effective than you, but that doesn't matter. Can you unify with that? So that's the first step. And the second step is what we were saying is like, at first you need to nourish the seeker individually and outpour love on them and follow up. But that's the point where you need to let them fly. And I've heard so many yogis saying, yeah, I cannot bring this person because it's not ready to commit the collective because the collective is kind of crazy. Now, in certain areas, there might be a collective who's in the middle of a fight, so that's understandable. But it is also an ego thing that you're like, oh, this is my program, this is my seeker. I put 5 years into it. I'm not gonna let any crazy guy ruin it. But again, it's an illusion, right? So then the seeker comes to the meeting, to the program, let's say in this local city, and then again he's welcomed by this city, all the love. But then it becomes like a guy from Rome collective, a guy
Hmm.
from Swiss collective, right? And then no, he has to go to Cabela. He needs to expand, right? And then even Cabela, an illusion, because ultimately, as you correctly say, the goal is for the seeker to establish the individual connection to God, not to you, not to your city, not to the discipline of meditating every day. The goal is for them to touch, for however brief, the feet of God. That's what we want, right? That's what they want unknowingly. And I think all of these are layers of complexities and attachments of our ego. It starts with my program, my city, my seeker, like
Hmm.
everything,
My
and
feet.
again,
No.
and no, and it gets worse, I would say, if you're good, because if you're successful, if you're somebody that brings a lot of people in, it's inevitable. And I mean, I'm talking also personal experience. It's inevitable that you put your personal stamp of, oh yeah, we, our group did such a good program, that's why so many people stay. It's not. You don't create vibrations. I mean, you can mess it up. You have that power. You have the power to
Uh,
mess up the vibrations. If
no,
you
it's
don't
also
create.
really dangerous for the collective, because imagine if the collective is somehow splitted,
Yeah.
and they start
A random
counting.
example. Imagine a theoretical situation. Sorry, interrupted you. This we need to keep it, huh?
I will. But and then the two sides start counting how many people they bring compared to the other
Exactly.
people, and then you start bringing more people, but then the quality goes lower and lower, and then then you find yourself surrounded by people that they
Exactly.
don't even know, they don't understand the depth of certain things.
Exactly.
And also, let's keep in mind that people join the collective also out of loneliness,
Yeah.
especially older people. I've noticed that they're like, they don't care what is going on, they are not understanding what is going on, but I'm surrounded by people that is
Absolutely.
already.
I agree. No, I
So
mean,
mm,
yeah. No, no, go
it's
ahead.
also it's also really difficult to rate someone's depth,
Yeah.
to say that someone is like a mahayogi, or that person is not a good yogi, that person is ready to join the collective or not, is
Yeah.
really complicated. Like, can you do it like from a mental level, which is also in a communicative level, is you cannot reach the divine through being a
Absolutely.
human being, no? So it is
Absolutely. No, it's a slippery slope, and actually, I was thinking about this the other day. Now we're extrapolating a bit into politics, but what you said, when you have two different sides, and each side tries to. The thing is that everything gets distorted because it's not anymore. You don't have a team anymore. You don't have a single team, but you have a split, right? And I thought about this, which is really interesting. Even think about, which I never, it's kind of counterintuitive, but it makes sense. Think about political parties in a country, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have the right and the left. For example, in the US, another good example of a split. By definition, the fact that you have a party which represents the right, all the right side people are gonna go there. And it's the worst thing that they can ever do to themselves, because their ego is going to echo chamber and just grow unchecked. And the same way, you have a left representing party with where all the left-sided people go, and their super ego is just going to explode. What these people don't understand is that for their survival evolution, they need each other. But it is so ingrained in our modern brain, this thing of the party system, the thing of democracy, the thing of the voting, the thing of representing your group, that is really anti-God, because it is anti-integration, which is the quality of Sasrara. So this thing that you mentioned of when you have a split in the collective that affects the seeker is really the worst thing that you can do to yourself as part of a group. Like you're literally harming your collective by creating the group. And and there's no way, like these are two roads that they're forever, they're just gonna keep going like that unless something brings them together. So fully agree to that issue. And then the other thing which I think is really important, because I lived through that a little bit, is also for me to remember that the new people are actually innocent. Meaning, if you join in a collective where there's crazy people and they're just gonna start shifting you into clubs, and the new person who comes in, you can't be angry at them. Like you need to have compassion, because they just joined them a place that is not helping them, right? But it's not easy to do, because again, once you have a group creation, and then that seeker start going continually to the group, you're like, oh, that person is part of that group, and already you're having negative attention, but that person just came to Sahaj. How can you? And again, but we need to see it from above, from an integration point of view versus our human, dual aspects. I think it's very important.
I don't know if you want to stay on this topic, but I might change it because I know
Yeah.
that you have changed your mind quite recently about doing online programs, which is something that you hated. I think it was the thing that you hated the most in your life. I don't know.
It's true. I didn't like it, and now it's crazy. I still don't like it.
You saying that's
Just
crazy. It's completely, completely crazy.
I'm just kidding. No, no, I wouldn't say, never hated it, but definitely I didn't see the value in it. And I tell you also why. It's crazy how your understanding of the world is so dependent on your experience of life. So I lived in Rome, New York, and Geneva now, right? Three big collectives. Wherever I went, I always had 200 yogis, 300 yogis, 350 where I lived. So why do I need to go online? Like, like I just never needed it. Like it was available to me every week, and I'll go. Beautiful program, great vibrations. Of course, if I was living in Arkansas or Alaska or somewhere, I definitely would understand better the value of online programs. So that's one part. But of course, now after COVID, there's been an explosion, and I think we all saw the value. I still do feel that doing programs in person is more powerful as a seeker than doing it online. But I think online gives you a wider outreach and capacity to reach deeper when you wouldn't otherwise, and also maybe give more continuity, because meeting in person every I don't know, every day, for example, is nearly impossible. But if you have online meditation, you could do it every day potentially, and so that does help the seeker. So totally, I know you have a definitely good view of it. So how was your experience?
Mm, what is my experience? Let's put it in the present sentence because I'm still doing it. And
Yeah.
I might say that is really complicated, but at the same time, I was really shocked because I always kind of struggle to feel the vibrations. Doing such programs online, I was feeling incredible cool breeze
Wow.
on my hands. Like cool
Wow.
breeze, like really. I was in total less awareness.
Yeah.
and I was like doing amazing, and
Wow.
people in the call were also doing amazing. And that moment I was like, are we really realizing that all these things, all the Paramchatanya is working remotely through a webcam?
Yeah.
These
Yeah.
people are in Milan, I'm in Rome, and we are connected. We know it rationally, but when you bump into it, it's like crazy,
You
to
feel
me.
it.
And that was amazing. The only thing is that I kind of do it with another yogi. It's not a group of 5 people. So when the program is over, you turn off your laptop, and then that's it.
It
You're
ends.
alone. You don't have like that chat with other people. You don't have that sort of feedback with people. You just tell them goodbye. And the other bad thing about doing such programs online is that at the first one they will show with the camera on, they'll be sitting perfectly. After the third, they will be laying down with the
Yeah.
video camera off, just
Yeah.
listening to it as it was a podcast. At least listen to such times podcast, but not the such programs.
The other day I was thinking about this, and this is, I think, the is the essence of our modern society. Everything comes to us easier, which makes it more accessible. But when something comes easier, the gravity of understanding of it, it's less because it just came to you for free, right? When you have to
Mhm.
work for, I mean, even going to work now, jokes aside, he had to get up, get dressed in a nice clothes and go to work. Like it's just a different atmosphere. You have to shave, if you're working from home, you can still be very efficient, but there is a bit here and there, because maybe you stay in pajama, whatever the situation, or you put a laundry here and there, as you're like, the point is, because it's easy, because it's accessible, the distraction is there, right? And I'm not saying that online programs are negative. It's just that we need to watch out for the potential pitfalls. And what I really feel is that today, I was thinking, I think we shared in the audios, is that I think the best combination you can have is a hybrid version for the seekers, where you have a in-person program, and then the online is complementary to the in-person. So even when you have online meetings, be like, okay guys, everybody please go also in person there, because the online, as we said, is amazing, because potentially you could I know people that do meditation online with our seekers in Geneva, and they can do like even 3 times a week, meditate with them online, which is amazing, because the support you give to the person is amazing, right? But ultimately the goal should always be to bring back to the heart, to the human experience, where I physically see you. And also another thing, I don't know if you felt about it, but the best conversation I had with the seekers, the ones when they really opened up, it was never during the meeting. It was always after the meeting,
Always.
on a one-on-one, moving the chair together, or walking to the station, or going for a pizza. And that's where you really get to meet the person. It's not in front of everybody,
Mhm.
So that to me is critical for the growth of the seeker. Is the it's funny, but it's the after program. It's like as important as the program, and that online, it kills it. Like you don't really have that so much. It's very difficult to establish.
Yeah, you mentioned two things that are really important to me. One is the post program conversation, because you really see they opening with you,
Yeah.
and it's a good for them, and it's good also for your compassion.
Yeah.
It's a workout for both of you.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
and another point that I would like to mention is, don't underestimate problem that might cause to people outside of Saja Yoga the thing that Saja Yoga is for free.
Yeah. Absolutely.
If
Again,
you if
accessible.
sometimes seems like it has no value. If someone gives you something for free, you don't
Yeah.
give it the value. You give value to something after you spend a lot of money on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Other meditation make you spend so much money, and then you show up because you paid them money, not because
Especially in
it's
our
free.
society. Yeah. Especially in our
Especially
society.
now.
Yeah. Even for things that are less spiritual, I've heard a lot of my friends says, I signed up to the gym. I don't want to go, but I go because I paid. It's like that push is actually quite important. And but we know Shimaji also gave many speech about this, how in the West we have this mind problem that overanalyzes, overthinks, and knows the price of things but not the value, right? We need to
Mhm.
focus on the value, not on the price. What works in programs, I don't know what if you can define in your experience a common denominator, but I've seen one thing, that you have all sorts of seekers, you have different approaches. You have the guy again who's really nice at talking, the guy who's has very good vibration, different styles. But one thing that I've seen that is universal is the programs where the person who leads or the organizing team follows up with the seekers during the week as if they were friends.
Because
And
that is the stage where they are your followers, where they are your seekers. That is the stage where you have to take care of them, and not
exactly,
leave them later.
exactly,
When they're like involved,
exactly.
you leave them. In that moment, you have to take care of them, and not you're like, okay, program done. You came to church, you did your thing. Let's see you next week.
Exactly,
Sadly, it
exactly.
doesn't work like that.
It's like you need to have this sense of responsibility, which is also a challenge because you have to establish all of that. And then at some point, you have to give it up completely. And it's so hard after you did that for years, right?
It's
And
not
again,
different. It's not different from parenting. They are living their new life.
it's
They
true.
are
It's
reborn,
true. It's true. I
and
agree.
you have to take them through their first steps.
And it's really interesting, actually, the parallel with parenting, because you see a child who's 6 months old literally is dependent for their life on you. Like they die if you're not there. But already at 4, the child can be for 4 hours without you and be fine, right? And now at 15, 14, my kids, I won't do it, but potentially I can be away a full day and they can look after themselves. And as a parent, it's not easy actually to adapt so quickly to the change and giving them the liberty and the freedom, right? So I think it's really good parallel, which is the seekers, and in its infancy, it is really your baby. And you really have to feel that sense of responsibility. But also very quickly, depending also on the seeker, they grow, and you need to be able to the freedom that and also to expose them to other people rather than just you, right? It's very, very interesting.
It's really interesting, and is I would say what we are doing with our podcast, which is a little bit our baby. And
Yes,
I think also our baby needs to take a rest, needs to
yes.
sleep. We might close the episode on this.
Awesome, awesome way to start and to close randomly.
Yes, of course. Now you know me. That's my life.
Maybe, and this is also very classic on me. Uncle Mathieu from Cabela School says that it's like you always come with, I have one last point, and then there's 6 sub points below that one last
Yeah, the
point.
episode is not over, apparently. I was trying to close it, but tell us a dream. Come on.
Just- no, no, it's not going to be a dream, but something very quickly, because I think it's important actually to share this, because I had this discussion actually with a yogi a month ago about this. It's also our desire to present the seekers to Sri Mataji, which again comes from a beautiful point of view, which is you can't wait to present her to the person. But also it's an illusion because it's not your job. Like you're not the one who decides when the kundalini of the person is ready to face God, and doing it too early or too late is not good.
Let's say. The only thing that I would ask to people is to leave a comment of your worst experience at the Sahaj program. The worst
Or
person that you gave the realization to.
and the best, one with
And
the best and one with the worst. I think actually this would be, I would be super interested to read that and to check it out.
that would be nice. So thank you everyone for listening. This was Sahaj Times Podcast. Thank you, Fabrizio. And bye.
Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.